watching God expand his kingdom through people like me, people like you.
Just seeing the growth and then having opportunity to be part of it.
We can easily just kind of stop, right? But we know that there's more that needs to be done for the glory of God and reaching out and impacting the entire world.
You know, we're not putting the brakes on. We want to go faster.
I'm just ready to help bring in the next generation of people.
How the future generation will get to see Jesus and get to know him in a way that I didn't experience growing up.
I grew up as a kid here, and I personally found Christ here to give other students, other kids an opportunity to feel the love of Christ is something that I want to be a part of.
I liked the generational part about how like the people before us we don't know, but they built this. And so now we get the opportunity to do the same.
To be a part of a ministry that's looking to engage people who are new to the faith or who may not have had previous experience with faith.
The people that need it the most are not in the building right now. And that's the people that we want to continue to serve. And for me, what spoke most on my heart.
For me, I grew up avoiding church, and then I was invited. Now I'm I remember where I sat the first time, and it was kind of like home for me. So, yeah, I mean, I think a lot about like the other campuses was kind of the one that gets me.
There needs to be more of what we do here everywhere in the country.
Like, I know people that would love this church, especially like I'm from Boston, like up there, you know, like have no idea. You just have to experience it to understand it.
I mean, the fact that we have such an impact internationally, it's just so heartwarming, and I'm just really excited to see what they're going to do in the future as well.
I love that we are actually taking individuals on a journey of what really Jesus calls us to do, which is to be good stewards of what's been entrusted to us.
I like how they're asking for everyone to get 100% engaged in the initiative and to pray about what God is leading you to do in your heart.
I know it's going to call my husband and I to something bigger than ourselves, where we're not putting our schedule in front of God's plan.
What is God asking me to do more than maybe what I've thought about prior?
It makes me want to give more. It makes me want to do more. It makes me want to volunteer more.
Where can I give bigger and give more of my time, of my money, of my energy, of all of it? So yeah, I look forward to maybe seeing the changes that produces in my life outside of this.
And it was exciting to be part of the dream from day one, and we're excited to hear what God has to say to us personally about how we can support into the church, about how they can grow.
And now we have the opportunity to give back even more and more and more. That's awesome.
This is something I would never be able to do on my own, and to be able to do this with this group is just unbelievable.
Deeper Wider is really being able to invest your time and your money and do something that's bigger than yourself.
We're not stopping, and I love that. I want a kingdom built till I go down.
Yeah, so good. Well, I'm thrilled to be continuing our series today, and if you don't have any idea, if you're joining us for the first time or you've just logged on, you're trying to figure out what we're all talking about, we've been in this new season. It's not just a new series, it's a new season of generosity. We've been talking about generosity. We've been talking about this Deeper, Wider initiative, and really what it's all about is we're exploring what it looks like to maximize our generosity individually and collectively so that we can have a wider impact locally and globally. We've been entrusted with a lot, like as many of you've been trusted with a lot, and we want to be great stewards of what we've been entrusted with. And if you haven't been with us, we've been taking a pretty in-depth look at the differences between cultural generosity and New Testament generosity, which they're vast. And I don't have time to recap all that content, but here's what I'll say. The content's been incredible. You should definitely go back and catch up on the content you missed. But here's why the content's incredible, is because to be really honest with you, it's hard to argue with generosity, right? I mean, generosity in general is a difficult thing to argue with, because who isn't for more generosity? I mean, more generosity in our world, more generosity in our lives. We would like people to be more generous towards us, not just financially, but just in life. We all need patience. We all need help. More generosity, we know this in our world, it makes our world more better, right? Like more generosity, it's just more better for all of us. And in fact, here's the thing. If not most of us, if not all of us, we want to be more generous. You wish you could be more generous. Some of you, you wish you were in a position, in fact, you've been listening to this and you've been thinking, man, I really aspire to this. This is what I want to do. So today, I just wanted to jump in. I'm jumping in the conversation, and I want to talk about what I think is the most relevant question related to generosity. Most relevant meaning the thing that most of us wrestle with the most when it comes to the idea of generosity, because as we've been opening the page of the scriptures and learn about New Testament generosity, it's clear that it's better. It's a better way to live. It's the right way to live. And if you're a Jesus follower, it's the way that we reflect God the most. But here's the question that I want to wrestle with today, because I think it's the most relevant question, is, do you even have enough? Do you have enough? Do you have enough that you can be generous? Because this is the thing most of us, we wrestle with all the time. In fact, as you've been thinking, some of you have been thinking about, you want to be a more generous person. You want to, maybe some of you have been really considering how you can be generous towards the deeper, wider initiative. And here's the thing, you at the same time, alongside that, you're dealing with economic uncertainty and inflation. Over the last few years, the amount of economic uncertainty and the inflation, the cost of living, how it's gone up. I live in the same world you do. Many of us, the current obligations, you have kids, maybe you have kids in college, you have other people that you're responsible for, things you're responsible for, many assets, things you pay on a regular basis. You have a bunch of obligations, and you have, many of us, we have debt. We've made past decisions that in some cases we wish we hadn't made, that we wish we would have made different decisions. And as you consider those past decisions, and you consider your current priorities, your current obligations, your current circumstance, and as you think about what your hopes and dreams are for the future, the reality is the question you're wondering is, do I even have enough to participate in this? Do I have enough to live and to give more generously? And I think this is the primary obstacle that most of us have when it comes to being generous. Now, some of you are already nervous because we got to the board too early in the talk, but that's because we have a lot to cover today. And here's the thing, there are other obstacles. I believe that. I've heard so many, but and again, you're just gonna have to trust my heart today. I think many of them are excuses. And they're even sort of laziness. You've heard this, and maybe you've even said this. Don't be offended, because I've said these things too. Sometimes you think when it comes to giving towards an organization or towards a church, you think, is my money even gonna make a difference? Do they even need my money? I walk into this place, look at all the stuff they have. I mean, look at all the people here. Do they even need my money? And some of us, we think, we see organizations, we go, I'll bet there's a bunch of administrative fees, or the people that work there, they're making a whole bunch of money, or there's something going on there. And what's the financial accountability of these places? Here's what I would say to all that is, those are questions people ask, but good organizations, good, healthy organizations that are doing good work have answers to all of those. And the truth is if you don't believe in a certain organization because you think there's questions, find another one. Generosity is not about finding a good cause and finding a good organization. There's plenty of those out there. These are the things that trigger in us this idea of, and this worry around having enough, which is gonna be traced, and we're gonna unpack these three things. It's traced to three different things in my mind, and maybe you'll find others, but there are at least three things beneath this question of, do I have enough? The first one is fear. That's probably the most obvious one. Fear, appetites, and ego. Fear, appetites, and ego. These are the three things that are beneath this. And if you're wondering, there's lots of different things as you think about your current financial picture, you think about your ability to be generous, you think about all these factors. I think all of the objections, all of the questions, all the what abouts, the what ifs can be categorized in one of these three things. And here's why. Because at the heart of fear is not having enough. Will I have enough for me? Will I have enough for tomorrow? Will I have enough for the future? I don't know if I'm going to have enough. And so I have a hard time giving because I'm afraid I'm not gonna have enough. If I give too much away, now what? I can't get it back. You don't wanna go back to an organization and say, hey, that money I gave you, can I get it back from you? Like, that's always an awkward thing. So beneath this fear is this question of like, am I gonna have enough? And the truth is you know this, if you had enough, whatever that is, if you got to that place where you had enough, you'd be way more generous, wouldn't you? But what is enough? And how much is that? And how do we get to that place? Because that's connected to the second thing. We all have appetites. And there's things that we want to purchase or we want to get or we want to obtain, because an appetite is about not being happy enough. See, fear is around not having enough. Appetites is around not being happy enough. If I get this thing, if I accumulate a certain thing, I'll be happier. I think this thing will make me more satisfied. And the truth is that those appetites, they're never fully and finally satisfied. They drive us in life. And then, lastly, ego. This isn't about not having enough. It's not about being happy enough. This is about being the fact that I'm not fulfilled enough. There's something I'm yet to prove. I'm trying to prove something. I'm trying to accumulate so that I can feel a certain way about myself. I can feel good enough about myself. Here's the problem, is when it comes to these obstacles, we never really get to the place where, I don't know anybody who gets to the place and goes, wow, I have enough. Like, that's where I'm at. And the reason is, and this is real talk today. You guys, if you've been around me much, I just like to say it the way it is. Here's the truth. If we're really honest, don't be mad at me. None of us want enough, do we? None of us want enough because we want what? Somebody say real loud for me. We want more. We always want more. We don't want enough. Who wants enough? It's like, you tell your kids, you got enough. They're like, no, I don't want enough. I want more. That's all of us. You never grow out of wanting more. And the truth is these all have relationships to these things as well. I mean, all of these obstacles have a relationship to more. And in fact, in some cases, because of fear, we feel like we need more. I need more. I need more so that I feel safe, so that I know I'm prepared for the future. And our appetites, this is an easy one. We want more. And the one we don't want to talk about that is really a reality beneath the surface for a lot of us, more of us than we're willing to admit. We think, come on, if you're honest, we think we deserve more. And maybe you do. Maybe you're here today. I'm not trying to offend you. Maybe you deserve more than you've received. But part of the reason is because that we deal with this is because anytime you feed any of the things that you need or any of the things that you want or the things you think you deserve, you actually feed this thing and it grows. This desire for more, it grows and it grows and grows. The more you have, the more you feel like you need, and the more you need, or the more you want, you feel like you want more, even more than that, or the more that you deserve. And that's why these things right here, these challenges, these dynamics that we experience in our life, this is why they have so much power over us. Because here's why. Because they mess with what I feel like I need. These dynamics, this idea of generosity in the midst of all the other things that are in play in our life, they mess with the things that I think I want or the things that I think I deserve. It messes with that. And when it's about what I need or what I want or what I deserve, that's a climate that's almost impossible for generosity to exist within. It almost is impossible for generosity not to just live, but to grow in that context. So, what's the antidote to this? And this is the question I want to deal with today. What is enough? And how do you know when you have enough? How do you know when you get there? What's the way that you can go and not fake it, not just make it up, but just go, that's enough. And is that even possible to find that? And is it possible to resist this pull? And because most of us deal with this. I mean, I didn't have to give you the answer. You knew the answer. We want more. And we want more in life. We feel like we need more in life. We feel like we deserve more in life. And the reality is we think our peace and our fulfillment and our happiness depends on it. And in his letter to Timothy, who is leading a group of young Jesus followers, the Apostle Paul actually addresses this. And he addresses this idea of wealth in very different terms. If you have a Bible, I would love for you to join us. 1 Timothy chapter 6. It might take you a minute to find that, so it's near the back. If you don't have a Bible, by the way, I say this all the time, please let us know. I would love for you to have a Bible of your own. If you're watching online, send us a message. I want you to have a Bible, scriptures of your own, whether you bring it to church with you or not. There's such good, you're gonna see today, we're gonna unpack a few verses that are so rich, they're so helpful, they're so important. And I just wanna make sure that everybody has one of their own. So if you wanna pull it up, if you brought your Bible with you or you wanna pull it up on your app, that's fine. Here's some context while I'm stalling for you to find it. The religious leaders in this day, Paul's writing specifically to Timothy because there's a dynamic that's going on. The religious leaders that were already there, specifically the Jewish religious leaders, these religious leaders were exploiting their position for financial gain. They were themselves saying, hey, we're supposed to trust God, but they were themselves trusting in financial gain, and they were trying to leverage the system and leverage their moral authority for their own financial gain, to gain wealth for themselves. And so the Apostle Paul, he kind of speaks into this idea and says, hey, look, you think these people are godly. They sort of set themselves up as the standard, but true godliness, he talks about true godliness. True godliness with contentment is itself great worth. So he kind of takes a shot at them without fully, trying to insult them. He's just saying to everybody, listen, you're after this great wealth, but true godliness with contentment is of tremendous value. It's of great worth. Now, some of us look at this and we go, true godliness, and they're like, that's never gonna be me. But here's the thing, this isn't about being super spiritual. This isn't about people that have everything together. True godliness, if you think about it, godliness is just representing the things of God. True godliness, so if you want to really represent the things of God, this isn't about achieving some level of spirituality. This is just simply your life reflecting God. And your life reflecting God by the way you live, and being content is of great wealth. It's of great value to you and to the world around you. Now, this word contentment right here is the word I want to focus on. It's a very unique word. It's actually this Greek word here. And this is what's surprising. This word only appears twice in the entire New Testament. This word is a unique word. It was a common cultural word in the day among the Greeks, but it was not a common biblical word. It wasn't a word that the Jewish people would have run into very much. And this word is translated contentment here. It only exists one other place. And in that spot, it's actually translated sufficiency. And it's referring to the sufficiency of God. As a matter of fact, the definition would be like the perfect condition, somebody being or your life being a perfect condition where you need no aid or support at all. Like you don't have any needs. And some of you are thinking, yes, this is I can't even say the word right. Alterkaie. If I got that kind of life, an alterkaie life, if my life was in that sort of perfect condition, I would be more generous. I mean, if I was in a place where I didn't need or I didn't want anything, I would be way more generous. If I didn't have to deal with fear and appetite, ego, if I didn't have to deal with the constant feelings of I need more, I want more, or I deserve more, I would be more generous. But that's not what this is talking about. As a matter of fact, it's kind of the opposite of what this is talking about. If we keep reading, he says, after all, we brought nothing with us when we came into this world, and we can't take anything with us when we leave. He's basically saying, you think that the riches, you think the money that these religious leaders are trying to amass, that they're actually putting their hope and their trust in, what they're trying to get to experience real life, that's not what real life is about. And here's how you know. It's because you came into this world, we all came into this world, and we leave this world with the same amount. Nothing. You came into the world with nothing, and you were an image bearer of God. He talked about true godliness with contentment is of great wealth. You were an image bearer. You were born to represent the God who created you. And so if wealth or stuff is the source of your contentment, if it's the source of your fulfillment, if it's the source of what you think it is, to be at a place where you can reflect God and his generosity, you're mistaken, because he sent you into this world with nothing, and you're gonna leave it with nothing. And so is the only way you can represent the God that you were created by, the God whose image you were created in, is by stuff in this world? Of course not. And most of us know this. It's the stuff of this world is not what reflects true godliness. So he says this, if we have enough food and clothing, let us be content. Let's close in prayer. Like that's it, right? Imagine, just for a second, just go with me for a second. He's basically saying your basic needs, if your basic needs are met, you should be content. Meaning, like, it's a choice. Let us, not let us feel. It's just like, hey, if we got enough food and clothing, let us be content. Let me just ask you, I'm not going there. This isn't the application of the sermon today, but just let me ask you a question. If none of us cared about anything, having anything, or needing anything, or wanting anything beyond food and clothing, how much more generous could you be? Do you think about it? If your whole goal, if your only worries were about having enough food on the table to sustain you, and enough clothing to clothe you and to clothe your family. I mean, isn't it true? We could be wildly generous. I mean, we could be extraordinarily generous. But we associate contentment with a feeling. It's not a decision. Paul says, let us choose to be content. But that's not how we think about contentment. We think about contentment in terms of how we feel. And when we don't feel content, we don't think we have enough. In fact, we don't think we have enough. Here's what we do. When we don't have enough, when we don't think we have enough, when we don't feel content, this is what we do. We worry. And worry is what ultimately keeps you and me from being generous. And we don't worry about food and clothes. You know this. We do worry about really understandable things. And again, I told you earlier, I live in the same world you do. We have understandable reasons to worry. I mean, look, I pumped my gas, although just recently it's gotten a little better. I will say that. The gas prices, healthcare, the stock market, the volatility there, mortgage rates, aging vehicles, college tuition. We're headed into this realm ourselves. Here's the thing. These are the things that we worry about. These and other worries, this is what they do. They cause us to do one of two things. And some of you, this is what you'd say. You'd say, yeah, because of that, I need to save up all I can save up. I need to save. And others of you are like, no, I need to spend. The truth is I need to spend now before prices go up on things. And so worry leads us in one of two directions. It either leads us to save or to spend. But here's the problem. The problem is neither one of them actually resolve the obstacles, the fear and the appetite and ego that ultimately lead us towards this worry. It doesn't resolve those, and here's why. It's because no matter how much you save, what ultimately happens, some of you have experienced this, you had a big nest egg, you had a bunch of savings, and then you hit a crisis. And you hit a crisis, and the truth is no amount of money could bail you out of that crisis. No amount of money would fix that crisis, and all it did was increase your worry. And the reason is because you trusted in the savings, you trusted the money, you trusted in trying to get this place of security. And when you ran into the crisis you ran into, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to solve the problem or the crisis or the situation that you're in. In fact, it did little to nothing to resolve the worry that you were experiencing. If anything, when you realized you were powerless, it increased the worry and you went looking somewhere else to be dependent on something else to deal with that crisis or that issue in your life. And if you spend, here's what you do, is you spend and you get yourself into more debt. And the truth is you're borrowing on tomorrow because you're thinking, well, I don't know what tomorrow's gonna look like, and it's cheaper than it's ever gonna be. And we get ourselves to a place where we have no margin in our lives. And we increase the stress in our lives. And what that does is that ultimately leads us to greater worry as well. And so worrying and putting our trust in money and spending and saving specifically, it just increases. It compounds the problem. It makes our worry even greater. And here's why. It's because beneath our fear and our appetites and our ego is a very real need. Beneath all of these, and this is really what I want you to think about today. I don't really want you to think about money. I don't really care. I'm just gonna be totally honest with you. It's between you and the Lord about how generous you are. That's my interest is not getting you to give some money or to figure out how to support this initiative. I mean, that's not my heart today. My heart today is to help you deal with the thing that's at the root of the real worries you have in life, because it's stealing joy from your life. And the truth is beneath the quest, or beneath the fear and the appetite and ego, is a quest. And beneath fear, there's a quest for security. And beneath our appetites, there's a quest for satisfaction. And beneath our ego, there's a quest for significance. And all of us today are in the boat where we're either on a quest to gain greater security in our lives, a quest to gain greater satisfaction in some area of our life, or we're trying to find some level, deeper level of significance in our life, and maybe a combination of the three. Maybe there's two of the three, but my bet is if you thought about it long enough, one of those three things, and you could probably rank them in order, one of those three things are at the heart. They lie beneath the thing that you actually are worried about. Our worry is driven by having enough to resolve our fear, to resolve our appetites, or to satisfy our appetites, or to resolve our ego, the need for more. And the truth is factors like this, they keep us from being content. And they lead us to this quest for more stuff, for more savings, for more spending, for more accumulation. And this is why people in that day and people today do whatever they can, just like the religious leaders. They weren't immune to this. It's why we do whatever we can do to generate more wealth, because we've embraced the fundamental belief that more money equals less worry. Come on. You wouldn't say this. You wouldn't tell your friends this. You wouldn't write this. It's not anybody's slogan, but this is how we live. We think if I could get more money, if I had more money, if I had more wealth, I'd have less worry in life. Some of you have lived long enough. Some of you have earned money enough wealth to know that more money does not equal less worry. In fact, more money oftentimes comes with more worry. More money comes with more stuff, more things that can break, more things to deal with, more things to be responsible for. More and more wealth comes with wondering who your friends really are. Do they want things from you, or do they really want to be friends with you? And here's the thing, this is the rat race we get in because we put our trust and our hope in money and our hope and trust in wealth, and we either save or we spend to deal with the worries that are at the bedrock, that are at the heart of the fear and the appetite and ego we have in our life. And both of these things, the spending and the saving, the accumulation, it always cycles back to worry. And actually, the Apostle Paul, he says that next. He says, look, the people who long to be rich, which by the way, we're gonna come back to this in just a minute. Most people who are, don't think they are. It's true. Most people who are rich don't think they are rich. But people who long to be rich, here's what happens. They fall into temptation and are trapped by many foolish and harmful desires that plunge them into ruin and destruction. And some of you are thinking, well, make me rich and I'll see if I can plunge myself into that. I would like to try it. Like, I'll deal with the ruin and destruction if I can. But here's the thing, here's what I would tell you. You already have. Isn't it true? Isn't it true your greatest regret in life involved the foolish pursuit of one of these three things? Come on. You may be in the middle of it right now. Your greatest regret, something that you're ashamed of, the thing that's overtaking you, it's controlling your life, the secret that you're holding on to right now in your life, it involves the pursuit of either greater security, greater satisfaction in some area of your life, or greater significance. And you've allowed that thing to control you and to drive you, and no amount of money will bail you out of it. In fact, oftentimes, the more money we have, the more these problems are compounded. And the truth is they're not always money related. But we get in the habit, or we get in the mindset that more money will decrease my worries. It'll make me feel more secure. It'll make me feel more satisfied. It'll make me feel more significant. And all the while, all we really want is more. And it's never enough. And in the end, it was harmful to you. The pursuit of that thing was harmful for you. It led to ruin and destruction, not just for you, but for other people around you. It pulled all sorts of hell up into your life. And here's why. Some of you have heard this verse before, you didn't know it was in this context. That's all the context for this verse that many of us have heard. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Money is not the problem. Money is not the issue. It's our pursuit of, our need for. It's the trappings of how we try to utilize money, which is just a tool that God's given us. How we try to utilize money and wealth to try to get things that money and wealth were never intended to add to your life. It was never meant to be your security. It was never meant to be the thing that satisfied you. It was never meant to be the thing that made you feel significant. And the truth is you're trying to use it for something it wasn't intended to be used for, and that never works. As I said a moment ago, that's how we pull all sorts of hell up into our lives. Some of you are thinking at this point, I mean, the Bible is so irrelevant. It has nothing to do with my life. The truth is you know that the pursuit of some level of security or satisfaction or significance is the thing that has control over you right now. So, Paul says, so Timothy, here's what I want you to do. I want you to teach those people who are rich in this world. I want you to teach all the rich people. And I'll just say this, some of us are relieved in this moment. You're thinking, okay, great, this isn't for me. I know there's a bottom line coming. It has to do with giving, has to do with money. They're not talking to me. I just want you to know, nobody thinks they're rich. As a matter of fact, several years ago, you can go look this up. JP Morgan Chase, they did a survey, and they decided to survey rich people. They started with people with a net worth of $5 million. Now, I don't know if you think that's rich or not, but they started with people with a net worth of $5 million. And they asked them if they were rich, and they said no. They said, okay, well, how much do you need to be rich? How much money do you need to have to be rich? And they said $10 million. And then they asked the people with $10 million. They said, hey, are you rich? And they all said, no, we're not rich. How much money do you need to be rich? And they said $25 million. And then they went to the people with $25 million net worth, and they said, hey, okay, do you think you're rich? And they're like, no, I'm not rich. If I had $50 million, I'd be rich. And they went to people with $50 million. You see where this is going? They went to the people with $50 million, and they said, hey, are you rich? They're like, no, if I had $100 million, I'd be rich. And finally, they got to the people with $100 million in net worth. They said, are you rich? And they said, yeah, we're rich. We're really rich. So that's the quest. So until you get to $100 million, this isn't going away. Here's the thing, this is all of us. This is all of us. You don't realize it, but you're rich. Do you know, and you've heard this probably before, do you know that if you make $65,000 a year, you're in the top 1% of income earners in the world? $65,000, top 1% in the world. So teach those who are rich in this present world. Some of you are going, I'm just under that, so good. If you make $32,000 a year, you're in the top 5% of income earners in the world. What percent of income earners in the world do you have to be in order to feel rich? Truth is you'll never feel rich, but you are. And he says, this is what I want you to teach them. I want you to teach them not to be proud and not to trust in their money, which is so unreliable. I don't want them, I want you to teach them not to be proud. What does that mean? Not to feel like they can do this on their own and to be independent and not to act like they don't have to trust in anybody else. That's what pride does. Pride says, I don't need anybody. I don't need anything else. So teach those rich people not to be proud and not to put their trust in their money because it's incredibly unreliable. See, at the center of these obstacles, these three obstacles that we're dealing with, the center of these obstacles is a battle for our trust. It's a battle for our dependence. You know, we grow up learning to move from dependence to independence. It's how we were all conditioned growing up. You want to learn to stand on your own 2 feet, to pay your own way, to deal with your own problems, to resolve your own issues, to be able to handle your own conflict. And physically, we grow up that way. Emotionally, we mature that way. In the world, we've been taught that that's the way we ought to live. The spiritual life is just the opposite. God's trying to get us to move from independence to dependence on him. That's why he says, teach them not to be proud and not to trust in their money. Because the truth is what you're trying to do is you're trying to save your way to security. And you're trying to spend your way to satisfaction. And you're trying to accumulate your way to significance. And you're never gonna get there. Come on. How much savings do you need to feel secure? How much? How much money? How much spending to be finally satisfied with what you have? How much expanded wealth do you need to accumulate so you feel significant, so you feel like you're something, or you made it, or you proved to your parents, or you proved to your dad, or you proved to your mom you were gonna make something of yourself? Truth is everybody's answer is the same. It's more. Even the people with 5 and 10, 25 and $50 million, it's more because it's never enough. Apostle Paul says their trust should be in God, who richly gives us all we need for our enjoyment. He richly gives us all that we need for our enjoyment. Let me ask you a question. This is the question of the day. Is there something you need to feel more secure? Is there something that you need to feel more satisfied? Is there something that you need in your life to feel more significant? Come on, you don't have to tell anybody, just be honest with yourself for a minute. Here's the question. That's not the question. The question is, who or what are you ultimately trusting for what you need? Who are you trusting for security? Who are you trusting to feel satisfied? Who are you trusting to feel significant? See, here's the problem. Wealth becomes a substitute or takes the place of God in our lives, who's the one who ultimately provides security for us, financial and all other types of security. He's the one who ultimately wants to provide satisfaction for you in your life. He's the one that wants to define you and give you an identity so you feel significant in who he's designed you to be and what he created you for. See, how we handle our money is not just a financial decision. It's a faith decision. And the decision is, will you put your trust in riches? Or will you put your trust in the one who richly provides? Then Paul gives us the antidote. The antidote for trusting in riches. He says, look, tell the rich people, tell them to not be proud, tell them to not put their trust in money, tell them to trust in God. And then tell them this, tell them to use their money to do good. That's what they should be prioritizing. First, they should be giving their money to do good in the world. They should be rich in good works and be generous to those in need, always being ready to share with other people. And here's what you don't know. You were made for this, actually. You were designed for this. If you were designed for generosity, seriously, biologically, it is much better for your physical health for you to be generous. And you don't know this, but if you read some of the most recent neuroscience material, you would realize there's 3 neurological effects. I'm gonna nerd out for just 1 second, and then I'm gonna get to a close in our service today. There's 3 neurological effects to giving and generosity. The first one is it reduces cortisol levels. Do you know what cortisol does? Cortisol in your body, an influx of cortisol, it increases stress and fear in your life. Giving and generosity decreases the cortisol levels in your body. It stimulates the increase of dopamine and oxytocin. This is your happiness and your satisfaction chemicals in your body. Giving and generosity. You can go look at the research. I've read the literature. You can go read it for yourself. It increases dopamine and oxytocin in your body. It makes you happier clinically. And it increases the activity. This was a new one for me. I just learned this. The anterior cingulate cortex. If you want to sound really smart, memorize that phrase and talk to some people about work tomorrow. There's this part of your brain that giving and generosity, this is so amazing to me. It increases activity in this part of your brain. And do you know what it actually does? It causes people to feel a greater sense of purpose and significance. It's almost like the God who designed you knew what you needed. And he said, listen, don't be proud. Don't trust in the stuff in this world. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to trust me. Because I know about the human design, because I created you. And the question is, will you trust me as your creator who hardwired you biologically to find freedom and contentment by choosing to live generously and do more? Because if you do that, here's what'll happen. You'll store up treasures for a good foundation in the future that you might experience true life. See, giving is about the long game. It's about investing. It's not just about how you're gonna feel now. It's gonna impact your life now. But you can't take any of this stuff with you when you go. You know this. But the truth is you can impact the quality of your life in this life and in the life to come by choosing to live and to give generously. And ultimately, come on, it is the indicator of who or what you're hoping in or trusting in to supply everything you need to experience the security and the satisfaction and the significance, the true fulfillment in life that you desire. Our culture has taught us that money is the source of being rich. That more wealth is what it is to be rich and to have a fulfilling and satisfying life. And again, you'd say, no, money's not everything. But we live as if more money equals less worry. More money equals more life. More money equals more happiness. But the richest life, that's what the Apostle Paul's saying. The richest life is one who's lived fully devoted to God, completely at peace with his ability to provide for you, because that's what he wants to do. It's the heart of a prayer and a declaration that my pastor years ago taught me. Years ago, my pastor taught me this. He said, you need to make this prayer a part of your life. I will not put my trust in riches, but in him who richly provides. As a matter of fact, as a 20-something, in my mid-20s, trying to think about my future. I wasn't married, but stockpiling money. I didn't have any bills. I was making money. I was a single guy. I was renting a room in a house with a buddy of mine for $350 a month. I had no car payment. I had no bills. I had no overhead, and I was stockpiling money. And I remember I was not only stockpiling, I was tempted in that season to want to put my hope and trust in that. And I remember when I first heard this, I thought, I need that. I wrote it down a 3x5 card, put it in my pocket. And I carried it with me for months, everywhere I went. And I thought, this is not only good with my money, this is good in every area of my life. I'm not gonna put my trust in riches. Not for my relationships, not for my happiness, not for my fulfillment, not for success in the things that I'm doing in my career. I'm not gonna put my trust in riches, but in the one who so richly provides for me. So come on, as we close today. What's beneath your financial worry? What's the greatest obstacle to maximizing your personal generosity? What is it? Is it fear? Is it appetite? Is it ego? What are you searching for? And who are you trusting for the security and the satisfaction, the significance you're after? Who are you trusting? What are you trusting in to experience true, rich, full life in this life and the life to come? Look, you owe it to yourself to at least be honest with yourself. It's better to be honest with somebody else. And if you're in a group and you're participating in our group study, I hope you tell them. I hope you talk about this in your group. But here's the thing, one step you could take, and I just say this, and I say this unashamedly because I know it's good for you. One step you could take to pursue contentment by choosing, there may be lots of other steps, but one step you could take is this card. The truth is you could take a step to do all sorts of things, to trust the one who richly provides for you. But this card was created to help you take a step. Honestly, we created this as a discipleship tool. And these boxes, this is not a financial exercise. Some of you heard me say this before. This is not a financial exercise. This is a faith exercise. And I want you to go through this faith exercise even if you never turn the card in. I promise you. This exercise will benefit you. It asks 3 questions. The 3 questions are basically, how deeply am I trusting God right now in my life? How much deeper, Lord, do you want me to trust you? And am I trusting you with the things I already have, or just the things that you will give me one day? Because most of us, we're going, God, if you'll give me, this is where we started, if you'll give me more, if you'll give me enough, then I'll trust you. And that's not the way it works. Your Heavenly Father says, no, I want you to trust me. And I will so richly give you everything that you need for your enjoyment. But I want you to decide to not put your trust in riches, but in me, who will so richly provide for you. This is the difference in this process between deciding what you're gonna give, whether you give it here or not, I don't care. But deciding whether you're gonna give and what you're gonna give in terms of generosity, and discerning. See, the assignment is not, hey, how much can I afford to give? That's not the assignment. The assignment we're challenging all of you with is to discern, Lord, what does trusting you look like? What does it look like for my life to truly declare, I will not put my trust in riches, but in him who richly provides? Show me what it looks like to trust you in that way. I want to discern what you're instructing me to do. I don't want to decide this on my own. Let me pray for you. God, I pray for somebody who's here today or one of our campuses or one of our churches watching online, and they're pushing back, they're struggling. That guy, he's a pastor, he wants our money. That organization, like maybe they got all the yeah buts and what are all the other things? I just pray somehow in this moment, you'd strip that all away from them. You'd pull all that back and they would sense your nearness. They would sense your attention on them. They would sense you in their heart saying, no. I want you to be free. I want you to truly feel secure. I want to satisfy you. You are significant. Don't be proud. Don't continue to trust in riches. I want you to trust me. I pray for somebody who is listening, who's here today, and maybe never taken that first step to trust you. Maybe today, in the context of this conversation, they go, I don't know what that looks like, but I want to take a step. And I want to put my faith and my hope and my trust in you for the things that I've been worried about, that I've been chasing after my entire life. And I pray that would be the case. I pray it in Jesus' name.